Hello, everyone.
Hello.
So this is the first sessions of the today's so-called Power to the People's stream, entitled so-called Toward 311 East Asia Renewable Energy Network. So it has already 10 years, exactly 10 years has passed since the big disaster happened in Fukushima, Tokyo Electric Power Daiichi nuclear power plant disaster. And it was a big shock all over the world, and especially the neighboring countries, Korean, Taiwan, and also China and other neighboring countries. And so especially this East Asia countries is this disaster should be or must be a kind of wake-up call of from nuclear and also fossil energy to a renewable 100% regions. So today we have 4 distinguished guests from the neighboring country and also from Japan to discuss about the more and more closer collaborations over renewable energy promotions and also more like a democratic, open the futures in this region to build. So first of all, we'd like to have the keynote message from Dr. Cho Yo, the president of the Korea Environment Foundation. He is actually right after the Fukushima disaster, he proposed to 311 East Asian network. So he is very well-known, internationally well-known environment activist, and also received of the environment prize so many. So start with his message.
They are 60%, 64, 40, 66%.
보고 거기에 있는 흙을 전부 다 25cm씩 이렇게 모아가지고 엄청나게 큰 검정 포대에 쌓인 것을 이렇게 보게 된 거죠. 그렇게 보면서 핵과 원전은 인류와 함께 할 수 없다. 그런 생각을 하게 됐습니다. 그러면 우리는 도대체 무엇으로 전기를 생산하고 무엇으로 에너지를 쓸 것인가, 이런 생각을 더 하게 되면서 지금 현재 우리가 많이 쓰고 있는 석탄, 석유, 가스는 당시에 가격은 쌌지만은 미세먼지가 나오고 또 온실가스가 나오고 석유를 합성해서 만드는 석유 화학 물질로 많은 화학 물질이 나오고, 특히 플라스틱이나 비닐을 통해서 우리는 결국 탄소 문명으로 인해서 우리 인간이 살 수 없는 이런 상황으로 지금 막 달리고 있다고 봅니다. 그래서 이제 이 문제를 해결하기 위해서 나온 것이 자연을 이용한 에너지다. 우리가 말하는 재생에너지요. 그래서 태양광, 그 다음에 바람, 풍력, 지열, 바이오, 수력, 이런 걸 가지고 결국은 이제 할 수밖에 없다. 이런 식으로 해서 많은 노력을 해왔습니다. 그런데 최근 10년 동안에 많은 노력과 기술 혁신, 대량 생산 이런 걸 통해서 태양광 경우에는 지난 10년 동안에 100원짜리가 지금은 11원으로 89%가 떨어지고, 풍력은 배원 코스트가 지난 10년 동안에 70%가 떨어져서 30원이 되고, 그 대신에 원전은 여러 차례 대형 사고가 나면서 안전에 대한 시스템을 갖추기 위해서 원전은 도리어 지난 10년 동안에 26%가 가격이 상승이 된 거죠. 그런 걸로 보면은 이제는 태양광과 풍력을 중심으로 해야 된다고 봅니다. 그렇지만 태양광과 풍력은 바람이 불 때도 있고 또 저녁에는 햇빛이 들어오지 않기 때문에 이것을 저장하는 시스템을 만들어야 된다. 그 저장 시스템은 저는 그린 수소라고 생각합니다. 거기서 남아있는 전기를 그린 수소로 전환해서 결국은 우리가 2050년에는 탄소 제로인 사회를 만들 필요가 있지 않나, 이런 생각이 듭니다. 특히 동아시아, 동북아시아, 한국과 일본, 중국, 여기는 세계에서 가장 인구가 밀집되어 있고 그 대신에 과학기술이 굉장히 발달한 나라입니다. 그렇기 때문에 한중일이 정치적으로는 여러 가지 갈등이 있지만 지구촌의 환경 문제, 인류의 생존을 위해서는 상개국이 연대해서 기술 교류도 하고 해서 가장 빠른 좋은 모델을 만들고, 그 모델을 제3세계에 많이 확산시켜서 2050년에는 탄소 제로 사회를 만드는 것이 필요하지 않나, 이런 생각이 듭니다. 그래서 저는 3.11 그 대재앙, 이것이 우리 인류에게 엄청난 충격을 주고 피해를 가져왔지만 또 우리 인류가 지속 가능한 발전을 만드는데 도리어 전화 위복이 될 수 있는 그 역할을 우리 동아시아에서 해야 되지 않나 생각합니다. 저는 앞으로 한국을 비롯해서 다른 나라의 탄핵 그리고 신재생 에너지를 만드는데 힘을 합칠 것을 약속드립니다. 특히 이이다 테츠나리 선생이나 일본에 있는 그 탄핵 운동가, 또 신재생 문제에 대해서 적극적으로 노력하는 분들에게 코로나로 직접 만나지 못하기 때문에 이렇게 인사드립니다. 여러분 힘내서 화이팅!
Okay. Thank you, Chair, President Chair-san. So now opening our panelist discussion. And first of all, as a coordinator, I will briefly talk about the last decade, what is happening in Japan. So it was as the Chair Sensei said, the big the surge of the renewable, especially wind and solar. So at that time we couldn't, we believe, but most of the people, we couldn't believe renewable 100% future, but cost sharply declining both solar and wind, and wind and the solar alone will, within this year, I guess, the surpass the nuclear, the electricity productions. So it's a big But instead, Fukushima situation is still very much chaotic. The TEPCO and the collaborator try to recover the accident, but still the melting down debris there, and a lot of the contaminated water that come up with, and also the near the Fukushima Daiichi plant, a lot of the contaminated soil are dumped in, so the huge the damage around there. But there are a few good news. One is a big shift of the Japanese people's opinions before and after the Fukushima disasters. The nuclear promoters was a majority before the Fukushima disaster, but right now it's a very much minority. And after the accident, the most of the Japanese hope to decrease and ban the nuclear. This is the sharp shift. And also, nuclear industry in Japan is fading and fading and fading. Almost collapsed down. And especially the solar is sharply increased last decade. It's almost doubling the renewable share in Japan. And also more and more community power come up with, and the people are working on electricity, the production, and also use their own energy. Later on, Sasaki Sensei will talk about he is also one of the leader of their regions of the community power. So nuclear power is also the big impact on the politics as well, but also we are both the Koreans and the Taiwans the changing the government. So each are changing the nuclear policy or renewable policy or electricity policy or climate policy. So we need to share the experience and also collaborate toward the renewable 100 the East Asia region. So today is one of the discussion to how to the open collaboration we should to the futures. So now back to Korea again. We have a distinguished guest, the Professor Sun-Jin, the Seoul National University. She will present pre-recorded first, pre-recorded video, very encouraging the talk from the situations in Korea.
Yun-san, your turn.
I thought you will show the video, no?
Yes, we are preparing. So, okay.
Hi, my name is Sun-Jin. I'm professor at Seoul National University.
It has already been 10 years since the Fukushima nuclear accident happened. That accident has changed lots of things in Korea too. The first example is Seoul's One Less Nuclear Power Plant Initiative. It was initiated in 2012. We spent 10 years since then, and that initiative changed Seoul a lot. Because of Fukushima nuclear accident, we thought about the energy we has used. At the time, around 30% of our electricity has come from nuclear power plant. But you know, many people in Korea did not recognize the source of our electricity, and that electricity is connected with nuclear power. In our daily life, people did not think about what is the source of our electricity. But because of Fukushima accident, people think about the source of our electricity, and people thought we need to have alternative to go beyond nuclear power plant. And you know, in Seoul, many people tried to find alternative energy, and we have tried to expand the share of renewable energy in Seoul. But you know, because of that One Less Nuclear Power Plant initiative, not just in Korea, but also people in other local areas think about our electricity needs to be supplied from other energy source. So, you know, many governors and politicians also think about the risk associated with the nuclear power plant. So, in Korea, we have tried to find out alternatives. However, it is very difficult to go beyond nuclear-based energy system or to have energy transition, because our almost all systems, including laws, policies, and measures, those have contributed to support nuclear-based energy system. And you know, there are many people in Korea who have gained income from nuclear-based energy system, especially nuclear engineers or some professors whose major in nuclear power or some electronics. They have worked to boost and support energy-based or nuclear-based energy system. And you know, in Korea, many medias, they supported nuclear power too, because they gained some profit, or their income come from advertisement for nuclear power. So many conservative newspapers, they supported nuclear power, and they made lots of fake news which distorted information about renewable energy and energy transition. So it was very difficult in Korea to have energy transition. And you know, those fake news made some people, local residents, they did not support renewable energy. And you know, some case, people were not invited to decision-making process to expand the renewable energy. So that caused another trouble in Korea. And in case of IREBEC, in Korea, SK companies, 8 SK connected or affiliated companies announced they joined Renewable Energy 100 IREBEC project, but other companies have not joined yet because in Korea, the electricity market is monopolized by KEPCO, Korea Electric Power Corporation. So it is a kind of prohibited for individual companies to buy electricity made by renewables. It is not allowed because they should buy electricity from KEPCO. So in Korea, it is very difficult for companies to join IREBEC because it is not allowed yet to buy electricity from renewable suppliers. So in Korea, maybe this morning I found some article in National Assembly. Some assemblymen tried to open electricity market for companies to buy electricity from renewable energy suppliers. But that bill has not passed yet. So we need to make more effort to introduce a power purchase agreement, which allows companies to buy electricity from renewable suppliers. And the Korean government announced Green New Deal last year, and the core of Green New Deal is energy transition. So even though we have many barriers yet, but there are many opportunities for us to go beyond. I think maybe we have more chances in East Asia because China, the Chinese government and Japanese government and the Korean government, I think maybe Taiwanese government will try to have a carbon neutral society. So, countries in East Asia will make more benign or support maybe carbon neutral society, net zero society. So, our carbon emissions in East Asian countries or societies around go beyond 20% of total carbon emissions in the world, and we have a big share of a population, around 25%, and maybe our income, our GDP is very big. It maybe account for more than 25% of this world. So we have a big potential. So we have a power to change this world. So we need to have a strong network, and we need to learn from each other. We need to change this world together. So I think we have more and more energy citizens and climate citizens who are aware of the importance of energy transition and climate response. So we need to have more communications among people, and we need to make change in the market and in policy. So I think energy transition and climate response. So we need to have more or communications among people, and we need to make change in the market and in policy. So I think energy transition and climate response. So we need to have more or communications among people.
Oh, thank you, Professor Yoon. it's a very
I think
encouraging
energy transition
and also very
climate response. So
very common
we
and
need-
similar situations with Japan. Later, we'd like to discuss with you. And also, then following from Taiwan, Professor Taze Alan Lin, the Taiwan vice professor, and also he's working for the government, and also he is one of the board of the Thai Power, so he has a very deep insight of the Taiwan energy transition. So welcome to the Professor Lin. Also, he is one of the board of the Thai Power, so he has a deep insight.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation to join the global conference for a nuclear-free renewable energy future. 10 years since Fukushima. It's been 10 years since one of the biggest earthquakes ever recorded hit the Fukushima region. Good morning. Thank you for the invitation to join killing about 20,000 people nuclear-free renewable energy meltdown of the nuclear reactor at the Daiichi nuclear power plant. It's been, as we know, after the Fukushima accident on March 11, 2011, the 12-mile exclusion no-go on inhabited zone has been set. In addition, about 70,000 nuclear refugees are still scattered around Tohoku in temporary housing communities. According to the Greenpeace lesson from Fukushima report, the Fukushima accident was a failure of human institutions to acknowledge real reactor risk, a failure to establish and enforce appropriate nuclear safety standards, and a failure to ultimately protect the public and the environment. The ongoing Fukushima nuclear accident apparently triggered the nuclear phase-out around the world. For example, Germany nuclear phase-out will be complete by the end of 2020. In contrast, the country's renewable energy already accounted for 46% of power consumption in 2020. On the other hand, the Fukushima accident significantly accelerated the global energy transition in most parts of the world. According to the International Energy Agency, IEA, overall, renewable energies are said to account for 95% of the net increase in global power capacity through 2025. Total installed wind and solar PV capacity is on course to surpass natural gas in 2023 and coal in 2024. This is indeed a tremendous progress for renewable energy development, particularly in time of global COVID-19 pandemic. In East Asia countries, particularly in Taiwan, the anti-nuclear advocates have gained traction after Fukushima accident. In 2016, when the President Tsai Ing-wen was elected as the president, she announced an ambitious energy transition plan. The plan intends to phase out nuclear power by 2025, while at the same time to increase the share of renewable to 20% of power consumption, to reduce coal to 30%, and raise the natural gas to 50% as a transition energy. To achieve the energy transition goal, several regulatory and policy frameworks have since then been amended. For example, in 2017, the Electricity Act was amended to open renewable energy market and also enable consumers to freely choose power providers. Also starting year 2017, a public engagement process has been initiated to help draft the energy transition white paper. Currently, Taiwan has 4 operated nuclear power reactors, which account for about 10% of electricity generation. 2 reactors have been decommissioned. 2 ABWR reactors in number 4 power plant were not completed yet for 30 years. One is about 90% completed and the other one about 60% completed. However, the total construction cost is already surpassed 130 billion US dollars. Due to the public unacceptance, there is still no permanent low-level and high-level nuclear waste disposal sites in Taiwan. While the strong political will and the support policy in place, the deployment of renewable energy in Taiwan has increased significantly over the past 4 years. The installed capacity of solar PV has reached close to 6 gigawatts, which is about 5.5 times comparing to the previous administration. In 2019, Taiwan has set up the first commercial offshore wind farm with the capacity of 128 megawatts. It is expected to reach 1 gigawatt offshore wind capacity by the end of this year, and 5.6 gigawatt by the end of 2025. There will be at least another 10 gigawatt planned before 2025. In addition, there are various sources of renewable energy have been explored, including geothermal, biomass, small hydro, and ocean energy. Recently, in response to the rising land use conflict with solar PV deployment, the government established a mechanism which is called Environment and Social Checklist to address our concerns. Clearly, Taiwan accelerated the energy transition process toward renewable energy future in the past 4 years. Recently, the government also set up a task force assessing its pathway toward net zero carbon emission to join the global efforts in combating climate change. In this 10-year memorable moment of Fukushima accident, it shows clear that the trend toward renewable energy is irreversible. Just like the Nobel laureate Dr. Li Yuanze has pointed out, we don't need to create nuclear fission on Earth. The best source of nuclear fission, which is solar energy, is already there. Our main task is to explore the full potential of solar energy. Finally, I'm absolutely convinced that we can do this in a way that makes the whole world cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable, with more just and a greater opportunity for the present and the future generation. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Lin. It's a great the presentations, and also the Taiwan is already rushing renewable the societies. We are very much happy to know. Then finally, the Professor Sasaki from the Niigata National International Information University, and also he is leading community power in Niigata, and also he is fighting against the nuclear power restart of the TEPCO. So he's kind of very activating the energy democracy in Niigata and also Japan. Professor Sasaki Sensei, please.
First of all, thank you for invitation. I'm very honored to join all of you. Okay, I will use the PowerPoint today. So this one. Can you see this? Okay. Okay. Can you do this? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Today, I would like to talk about the case of local government in Japan, which has hosted the largest nuclear power plant in the world. My hometown, Niigata, has Kashiwazaki Kariwa Nuclear Power Station. Has 7 reactors and over 8 million kilowatts in terms of output, and the largest nuclear power station in the world. And it is a little bit old. And number 1 reactor is 36 years old, and number 7 is 24 years old. And as you know, the TEPCO and the METI want to restart as soon as possible because of the compensation for Fukushima damage. And as Yun-san said, maintain the nuclear interest village. And Niigata has received so many evacuees since March 11, nearly 160,000 people were forced to be displaced from Fukushima, and over 9,000 people evacuated from Fukushima to Niigata in 2011, according to Niigata Prefecture offices. So the March 11 was never be someone else's business for the Niigata people. And a turning point was the governor election in 2060s. They say Niigata shock. The biggest election issue was the yes or no to restart the Kariwa Kashiwazaki nuclear power station. And Ryuichi Yoneyama, you can see this picture, won the election. It was the first case the oppositional side, anti-nuclear side, could make a new local governor. And in effect, this election it means referendum on the propriety of restarting nuclear power station. And contrary to the expectations, he won the election by the popularity of over 60,000 votes. It means the central government realized a strong public feeling against the nuclear power station. And more importantly, at his public commitment, the Committee for Inspection of Nuclear Power Station, Genpatsu Kensho Inkai, was established. And next, incumbent governor, Hanazumi, also observed he have to respect. And this is the Committee for Inspection of Nuclear Power Station. This is the structure. There are 3 issues committee. And the technical committee now for the inspection for Fukushima accident causes. And the second, Life and Health Committee is now studying for life and health conditions of evacuees. And third, Evacuation Committee is now searching for effective evacuating planning. So, and in addition to that, the Summarization Committee is now integrating these discussions and would make a final report. So we can make now a very comprehensive and sustainable, substantial discussions. So I think it's a rare case for the Japanese history because such an committee is run by the local government budget on, and I think it's kind of the energy democracy and deliberative discussions. It's a very rare case, I think. So, but and we also have evacuation drills, and experience from this would feedback to the inspection process. But Since the last year fall, backlash by the government started. The Agency for Natural Resources and Energy visited Niigata many times, 80 times a year, and September 15 times and October 11 times. And governor of Miyagi Prefecture agreed with restart Onagawa nuclear power plant. Onagawa nuclear power plant, as you may know, run by Tohoku Electric Power Company. So without any resident agreement, without any referendum. And in addition to that, the Tokyo Chamber of Commerce and Industry visited Kashiwazaki Kariwa, and he claimed that the early starting is needed. And that the same day, in the local Congress, the LDP required the dismissal of chairman of Summarize Committee, Yuzuru Ikeuchi. Professor Yuzuru Ikeuchi had asserted that he would state his opinion as a reference about validity of restarting nuclear power plant in the final report. And he wanted to hold some kind of a town meeting to hear the resident voices. LDP strongly reacted against such a kind of a policy of operation. So that, and in addition to that, Niigata Prefecture government tried to put an end to an inspection process, unfortunately. And this year, Niigata Prefecture office refused the appointment of members who had critical views against nuclear power plants. So such a things happen, backlash. Oh. But on the other hand, in these days, the distrust of eligibility of TEPCO come to the surface, and they are now forced to recede from restarting. As you can see, the misuse of ID card, the TEPCO, ID card of the central control rooms. So this has happened at cover up. But the same month, Nuclear Regulatory Commission approved the eligibility of TEPCO. And this year, number 3, discovered the ID misuse. So after that, discovered unfinished installations by the TEPCO. So such a things, you know, mess things happen. So even the conservative actors strong criticism against TEPCO. But recently, you know, they forced to recede from restarting the nuclear power. So, in conclusion, 10 years have passed since March 11. What has changed? Nothing changed. So, former Prime Minister Abe, under control, he said, he declared, and because of the Olympics, but exploration works inside the nuclear plant failed reactors has barely begun, and the contaminated water is continuing to flow into the Pacific Ocean from the Crick #1 plant at a rate of around 2 billion becquerels a day. And the number of evacuees still about 41,000. And you may know the 5th basic outdated energy plan to 2080 now is the Japanese plan. Nuclear will remain a key energy source, base load power resource, accounting for 20 to 22% of the country's electricity generation up to 2030. That means we will have to restart all of the existing nuclear power plants, even over 40 years old, if we will not be able to construct new plants. The estimation of renewable energy is extremely conservative. And in addition, for the local peoples, atomic economical effect is just a myth of Niigata, myth for the local people. This book said, the myth has been formed in the historical process in which Niigata and Fukushima prefectures have been forced to be just energy supplies in the region since the Meiji period. So Japan itself has come to grief. Japan loses sight of a new innovational age. So as the Ida-san says, so we need a new type of a society, I think, towards the post-nuclear, post-nuclear power station type of society. From the central and the divided local community colonial society to the decentralized network society, and based on the self-governance and the subsidiarity. So, as the Ida-san says, that we have already over the 250 committee powers, and Niigata has also Urate Niigata committee power. We have now 40 stations in running for the local production for the local consumption and ownership. So time is run out. So lastly, from the local, we can transcend the borders and create a new vision, East Asia Renewable Energy Community. Unfortunately, last year, because of the pandemic, we had to cancel the unprecedented conference in Niigata, but we never give up. Thank you for listening. That's all.
Thank you, Sasaki Sensei. And it's very the reality of the Japanese the local situations, both community power, but still fighting against the nuclear kind of community or mafias, so to speak. So now the last 11 minutes we can discuss to with the colleagues to. So we all these East Asian three countries are very the similar, like both three country regions are based on the technology and the industry's basis, and also it's a relatively I'm not sure in Japan, but relatively democratized country. And but a bit behind of the energy shift to renewables. Now Taiwan is a bit rushing, and Korean is rushing, but still a bit behind. So and we are facing a bit similar, still monopoly or in de facto monopoly electricity, the market, and also at the same time the public, against some people are against the renewable energy promotions, and also fake news from the nuclear interest groups as well. So we are now how to cope those barriers to how to achieve the energy the shift to a renewable based, and also opens and democratize society and collaborating with the East Asian Renewable Energy Network. So then the first, the Professor Yun Sensei, Sun-Jin, to please comment on that.
Actually, I thought I give some presentation about my experience or my thought about 311 nuclear power extent. So I did not prepare some slides, so I regret. But anyway, I think in Korea, electricity price is very important. Because of low electricity price, independent power producers based on renewable energy, they cannot make profit. So it is very difficult to maybe expand their power in the power market. And as I mentioned in my presentation, TEPCO's monopolized system is very strong. It is another barrier. And actually, you know, among three countries, three societies, Korea has the biggest number of nuclear power under operation. Nowadays, 24 reactors. But still, there were two reactors, Shinhanul 3 and Shinhanul 4. It was planned to be built, but this Moon government canceled the plan. But still, pro-nuclear activists or nuclear engineers, professors, and local residents, they want to build the reactors because in the near time, they think some kind of economic gain from the construction of additional nuclear power reactors. So, you know, still, and, you know, have you heard about the tritium issue in Korea? Because, you know, in Wolsong reactor, we found tritium has maybe liquid from nuclear reactors. So still, we have many problems in safe operation of nuclear reactors. Still, our nuclear safety committee did not control properly the safe operation of nuclear power. So we have many issues until now, not just, you know, Korea's share of renewable energy in electricity sector is the lowest among OECD countries. Even though this government announced energy transition as a national task, but still we have many barriers. And people think nuclear power support cheap electricity price. So we should not, we should operate, maybe operate nuclear reactors to keep electricity price lower and lower. So and people think our nuclear technology is #1 in the world because of fake news. So there are many challenges we need to overcome. So I think some kind of safe operation of nuclear reactors and to make two successful energy transition, what kind of barriers we are faced and what kind of strategy maybe that gained some success in communities and policy area, we need to learn from each other. That is my comment.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a relatively similar situation in Korea and Japan, and because we both have nuclear industry inside, so it's a very politically influenced on the central government and also the local government. Then, Professor Lin, Taiwan is more closer to nuclear phase out and also renewable promotion, but still you are more facing some kind of barriers. So please comment. Oh, you are muted.
Yeah, good to join the discussion. Thank you for the sharing of the experience from Korea, Japan, and also I think we face very similar challenge here. And according to the just a poll just published yesterday by Business Today, they say the about 66% people support the idea using renewable energy to replace nuclear power. So this is, I think, and also suppose the government, the policy toward energy transition. And also in the situation, if there's no electricity shortage, then they are supporting, we can develop more renewable energy and phase out nuclear power. So I think this is also the good sign, even though I think we also, there was some barrier and challenge when we deployment the renewable energy, because just like there's a presentation mentioned, there's some conflict about the solar PV and even also the offshore wind. There's some conflict with the local resident or fishermen. So we set up a kind of mechanism we call the environment and the social checklist to before we any application for this renewable development, we can have a checkup. It's kind of a simplified form of EIA process, because so we not just look at the environmental concern, also the social concern, because now we all know that the just transition is also a very important factors. And also about the chairman mentioned about the electricity market. In this year, we are also trying to open some markets. So in the Thai power, to introduce some in the demand response, also aggregator and all this kind of mechanism to reduce the demand side management. So there were many more player and stakeholder to join the electricity market reform, but it still takes time. This also Thai power just start to engage more stakeholder during that the demand response and some other mechanism. I think they have been applied in many countries many years ago. Now, so the reform is not fast enough, but still many challenges. But we believe we are toward that direction. And also we are introducing the smart grid, the plan, and also introduce the energy storage, trying to play some role for the scale up of renewable energy development.
Okay, thank you, Professor Lin.
But there's can I add one more? There's one challenge here will be about August. We are going to another pro-nuclear referendum. So this is an awkward situation here. So I think probably we also face this similar situation. We have a energy transition, also a democratic transformation. So I think this is the process we should face, because always there's a different idea within society among even this is a good sustainable goal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor Lin.
Yeah.
Last 1 minute, the Sasaki-sensei. Very
okay,
brief
1 minute,
comment.
no time.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Let me comment shortly in a little bit different perspective. So we are talking about the economic and political obstacles in order to realize the renewable energy. But the same situation have in Japan. We call the atomic village, as you know. But I want to mention about the image of the hope in the future. We need education and we need new image of hope. So that is the East Asian Renewable Energy Network. So as you may know, the predecessor of EU, European Union, was the European Coal and Steel Community. That is the energy community. So the EU is not only for the cooperation among the states, but also the peace. So I hope the East Asian Renewable Energy Community will be helpful for the peace in East Asia. That's the kind of image, new image. So sorry, the time is up. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are lucky to next session will start in 15 minutes. So we are very brief allowance to expand. So but very thank you for joining these sessions. Actually the technology is universal. So renewables are getting more cheaper and cheaper and more developed, especially the solar and wind and also the battery. So also economy is more digital. The more cheaper, getting cheaper and cheaper renewable cost, and also more like self-independent of the both. Though all we three countries are more fossil energy poor country, but renewable rich country we can. So more and more renewable independence is more economy can be independent. So the economy, digital and technology universals, and finally, the people's willingness are more decisive to our futures. And also beyond the borders, we, as Sasaki Sensei says, maybe we could make up based on the renewable energy collaborations, the more peaceful and open society. Currently, we Japan only are relatively conservative or far right politics. So we need more open, collaborative the politics. It's not the top down. This is also the bottom up, the collaborations with energy and peoples. And so to keep talking and keep collaborating each other. And so maybe next round, we would like to have this East Asians dialogue coming physically, hopefully, in Niigata next time.
Niigata, of course.
Okay. Thank you for joining this Memorial Days, and so keep collaborating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We should make a success.
Yeah, we must.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.